Eric, you literally just landed a few hours ago, ran a practice. I imagine you're still kind of like just running on empty at this moment.
Yeah, honestly, like knowing I was coming back to the gym and seeing all the guys and girls, it just motivated me to come back and get back to work. You know, we got the next man up, Daniel Zellhuber, Dan Ige, you know, Kai Kamaka, the rest of the crew. And I just feel like that needs to be the mentality, because in this game, like, you run too high on those wins and you get complacent. And we talked about that a little bit after practice. Like, celebrate
You're
that
already turning the page.
Yeah, man, you really do. You really have to, because, you know, it's just winning doesn't really care about that at all. It's on to the next.
So teleport yourself back about 36 hours. What was that feeling like? I mean, and you've had a lot of big moments, other champions in multi-organizations, belt promotions, moments in football. You just got put into a Hall of Fame at your high school. You had a lot of success, right? But this one, where does it rank, and how is it different from others?
It's tough to rank them, and I would be remiss if I was trying to rank which one felt better than the other, because they're all very different. And I will say this: I feel very fortunate to be able to have more than one. You know, I think there's coaches that, you know, you'd be lucky to even get a shot at the opportunity. So being able to have, you know, multiple, it's just such a cool feeling, man. And you know, I think about Robert. I think about, you know, how happy he would be seeing where we're at today. And you know, when it comes to Sean, as much as I'm just ecstatic for his victory, I'm even more proud of, you know, him relying on us as a team, and you know, being able to kind of let that lone wolf mentality go at times, and you know, hopefully we can leave him a better man, right? I know we made him a better fighter, but hopefully we can make him a better man as well.
He won round one clearly because of the knockdown. Izzy came back and won round two. He had more volume. Sean didn't offer as much, and you told him so. And even round three started to go that way, but he did enough to rally and win the round, although I'm not sure it was clear at that moment.
Right.
But when did you have a good idea? The tide's turning, and now we got to step on his neck and really, really, you know, go for it, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, George. And like, I had a worry on almost a hometown guy in Izzy being in Australia. I had a worry on kind of the way the crowd can sway, you know, ooh, ahs, you know, and things that might not be landing, but the noise, right? The noise, the optics of things. And that's where I kind of jumped on Sean, is because we lost to
I did hear that word, optics.
Optics. We lost to Cannonier because I felt like we didn't win the game of optics. And we had that, me and him, where we sat down and like, it'd be like talking to your son, you know, like, do you understand what I meant by optics? And he completely understood, which is great, because now when you say that word, it should be a trigger. And I didn't want him to just kind of let this go. I wanted him to go, okay, coach is saying optics, I need to put a stamp on these rounds. Well, what can you do? Add more volume, mix in some wrestling, do this, do that. Now it's about just giving him some options, the options that work for him. So after round 3, I was like, hey man, like, I think I said that to him, like, hey bro, you know, we're well on our way if we can just keep this same pace. So I told him 2-2 going into round 5 for a very specific reason. I felt like we could have been up 3-1, but I also didn't want him to think we're going to take our foot off the gas pedal. The reason why is because I didn't want to fight that fight at Izzy's kick range. I wanted to keep it still where we had him nose to nose, where we felt much safer. Smother him and keep it safe. We were safer at A range than we were at C range. So 2-2 going into 5. I need this round. 5 more minutes, you're the next world champion. Let's put the gas pedal down. And that's what we got out of him.
Eric, I know that you said wrestling was a part of the game plan. How close did you guys come to what initially you wanted to do to what actually played out? Because what actually played out, it really confused Israel Adesanya. He was up against the cage a lot. You could just kind of see him melting away. a lot of people pointed at the game plan and said it was pretty incredible.
Well, you formulate ideas, right? You formulate game plans. You look at things on the path of least resistance. Now, I'll tap into my football being on offense. Let's say if you run a play and you get 8 yards a clip, 10 yards a clip, 11 yards a clip, why would you ever go away from that play, right? So if something's working and we can stay on it because they didn't make the adjustment to stop it, I'm just going to keep going back to the well. Now, when I said steal and seal rounds, that went back to the optics. Hey, maybe we can steal a takedown here or there. It wasn't that we wanted to wrestle to hold this guy down because we needed to keep him on the ground. It was more because we wanted to just control the optics of the fight. So, that was really a lot of the game plan. And the main thing that people need to understand is wrestling builds cardio. Wrestling is the ultimate cardio you can find. So, yes, a lot of our camps and game plans are predicated around wrestling for one particular reason, cardio, and the other would be because we could always dictate where the fight goes.
And round 1 came so close to having a stoppage, but looking at it now, does it almost make more sense? Did it almost play more in your guys' favor? The fact that you went 5 rounds, where in a 1-round fight, maybe people might say he got lucky or right time, right place. This was kind of domination over 5. Did this work out better for you guys?
I actually completely agree, and I love that because you hear that in the sport a lot. He got caught. He got caught. It was a fluke, or it was this, or it was that. When you beat a dude's ass for 25 minutes, there's no fluke about it, And caught him. Same, right? You could argue that Mark Goddard was a little quick on the Aljo finish and could have let this one, could have stopped this one or the other, right? With that being said, I remember him dropping him and I didn't even move. I didn't even get excited because I just had this feeling that he was gonna survive and we were gonna be in a dogfight for the next 20 minutes after that.
Well, how do you feel, the next couple of months playing out? There's so many options at middleweight, and there's so many different things you could do. How do you feel? I know Dana said he feels like maybe a rematch right away, but a lot of people aren't feeling that.
I don't really care. I mean, honestly, I don't care. I think from an outsider's perspective, I think Israel always deserves a rematch just from his history alone and his body of work. And I think that like kind of hearing their thoughts on some minor adjustments and they win that fight, I think it's a lot more than minor adjustments. I think there's a lot more to be done. But with that being said, I still think Israel ranks up there, number 1, number 2, best middleweight to ever do it. So if he wants to run it back, by all means, I think that's a fight that needs to happen then.
A lot of people are fighting for consistency in our sport. If they give Adesanya the rematch, does that not make you feel like maybe Aljamain Sterling deserves an immediate rematch as well?
I mean, this guy was being talked about as the bantamweight GOAT. Everybody was throwing that around for him. And look, at this level, people are going to have off nights. People are going to have a night that, maybe they underperformed. And it's so crazy how they just get thrown to the wayside. Like, oh, this guy wasn't really this good. There's so many factors that go into an 8-week camp. Sometimes even a short notice fight, right? There's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes that we're not always predicated in knowing and understanding. But, hearing like the criticisms of Israel, hearing the criticisms of Eugene Bierman, who was last year's Coach of the Year, who cornered 6 fights that night, man. Like, you have to understand that, like, we are in this game as coaches, and people don't really understand what we go through on a day-to-day basis. So to be critical of a man who built an empire in city kickboxing in a small part of the world with limited space, limited proximity, limited access, he built an empire of champions. But we're gonna say that we're gonna bash this guy because they had one bad night out of 7 years, right? So this sport can be fickle at times, man. The ups and downs of the game, but at the end of the day, it is about consistency, And I think that's the main thing. Is this guy has been a consistent winner. Israel's been a consistent winner, and if that's the rematch that they want to make, then by all means, let's do it.
I'm sure you've seen a lot of social media
Yeah.
saying nice things about you. some even possibly saying you could be the greatest of all time. Now, I know you've always been pretty humble, but that still has to be pretty good to hear it, feel it. What does that mean to you, and also everything? What does it mean to Xtreme Couture? Because you always share your success with the gym.
Oh man, it means more for my little man and my family. You know, like it means a lot to hear, you know, people like yourselves and get voted for Coach of the Year in 2020 when people didn't even know my name. You know, I heard a lot of backlash, and that stuff motivates me. And I think when you realize that you're not doing this for the comments, or you're not doing this for the media or anybody else, you're doing it for the people behind these walls, and you're doing it for your family, you know, good things will happen. And just keep that mentality, man. Head down and grind, and just keep plugging away, and be true to yourself. You know, like, it is a team in here, and I'm not the Coach of the Year, or I'm not in these positions without these people that I have surrounded myself with, you know. So, you know, when you hear those things, I'm very proud, because it is, man. It's all of us, and you know, all of us make this happen. The fighters are going there and getting those wins, and you know, they make us look good at the end of the day.
I know you're exhausted. Just 3 more quick ones.
No, we're good.
When does I know Ige is coming up?
Yeah.
You mentioned a few other fighters, but when does a major focus turn towards the big man, Francis Ngannou?
Yeah. So right now, my role with Francis is like almost like the third. You know, he has a boxing coach in from France. Dewey's been picking up a lot of slack, and then there's me kind of behind the scenes doing whatever I can do. That will pick up this week. These guys get back actually tonight from London. You know, obviously I was gone, so that was the first thing I said, man. I can't wait to see you guys and get to work. You know, get back at it. Zell Huber this week, Ige the next week, and then I'll go with Kai Kamaka to San Diego, and then it's off to Saudi with the boys. So I'm excited, man. You know, this guy Francis, he's been working hard, man. He's been busting his butt.
Did he say anything about your guys' win? Is he happy for you?
It was funny, because we're a brotherhood, and you know how brothers can be. Yeah. You know, we could pick on each other, we could talk trash, and when Sean signed to fight Izzy, you know, Francis kind of was saying, well, that's a bad fight for Sean. That's this and that's this and yada yada yada. And you know, he later, like, it didn't make me mad. It motivated me. I wanted to prove him wrong, like a brother, right? But he called me that night, and he's like, hey, I owe you an apology. You know, I know that what you're capable of as a coach, and I don't want you to think I was underestimating you. I was speaking on, you know, this and that. And I was like, hey, look, man, I know Izzy's your friend. I'm not asking you to pick a side. I'm not telling you, like, you know, to pick an allegiance with one or the other. Yeah. But I do know this. Anytime that you needed a round and Sean Strickland was available, he ran in there and took a round. I've never seen Israel Adesanya give you a round. So you can leave it at that, right? You could be best friends with a guy in the world, but I'll tell you what, Sean Strickland will be here and take his lumps and give you the round that you need. And that, to me, is a true teammate.
You have a lot of middleweights in there.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of talented middleweights, ranked middleweights, and everything. And I'm just wondering, by Sean being champ now, is that going to throw a wrench in the cohesion of the gym at all? Or how are you going to handle that? I think that's part of being a head coach, or one of the coaches here. How do you handle that?
I think communication, right? Like, we have to talk about these kind of things, because you're right. It is a big elephant in the room, you know. They were trying to book Roman Dolidze versus Sean Strickland, and you know, I said no. I was like, I don't want this to put a divide in our team. Like, I coach both of these guys. And I think Roman Dolidze is uber talented, and he can ultimately be a guy who can, you know, win a world title himself. Brad Tavares, you know, he's been my main guy for over 10 years. I have Punahele Soriano. I have Chris Curtis. Wow. You know, Knox. And there's so many people in the room that I look at that can really make everyone else better. But even Mick said it's so hard to matchmake when you have all these guys in this room. Marvin Vittori's in here doing his thing now. Edmund Shabazian comes in and does his thing. Michelle Pereira is now moving up to 185. You know, so the list goes on and on with talent. And at the end of the day, it's like this is the fight business, and hopefully we can navigate it to the point where it's not, you know, two teammates fighting again.
Well, you want to make sure you do that so you don't end up screwed.
Screwing it up.
The last question was, did you get first class on the way home?
I got premium plus, but it was only because they sold out of first class. So we try to get it.
Sean step up, UFC step up, or you stepped up?
I stepped up, but they're reimbursing me. So I had it on my thing anyway. So he said, let me know what it is. I'll reimburse you.
UFC?
No, Sean. No,
Oh, Sean.
UFC's not doing that.
Oh, okay.
No way. No way. I
Well,
wish.
nice.
I wish.
What a trip. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We saw your beautiful family here. I know you want to get to them, so we appreciate you taking time
My pleasure.
after this practice
Hey,
to do
you
this.
guys are my family too, so it's always great to talk to you guys.
We feel the same. Thank you.
Absolutely.